Guess who's back?
Stop talking, and so I'm like, why don't we
I wouldn't shut up. I'm taking full responsibility for this.
I'm like, why don't we just go live? Why don't we just go live? So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, back on the air. I'm gonna try and pay a little more attention to the chat. So if you guys do have questions for our guests, once again, let's reintroduce for people who are just coming back into my side. Terry Huddleston, artist, calm man. Tell the people about yourself again, Terry.
I pretty much go around the country from Comic-Con to Comic-Con selling art that I create. Actually, I'm working on some now, a brand new Robin piece. But, and many, many others. I probably got America's largest selection of pop culture stuff. So
it's true.
Hit me up, TerryHuddlestonArt.com.
Known to many in the convention world as the big head guy.
Yep. And I do have a large bulbous cranial cavity.
Oh, it's funny. Terry, he's got his background is a bunch of very graphic heads, right? And so he also wears a shirt that is comprised of basically what his background looked like. So one time I had him stand in right position. I took a picture of him, and his shirt just blended in with his background, so it looked like a head floating in the
active camouflage.
That's right. And below us, but not beneath us. Is that? Yeah, that's right. Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire. How you doing, Quinn?
Hey, I'm Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire.
If you guys want, Quinn particularly, if you could shout this out, let people know that we are here chatting about nerd stuff. Still, we just can't get enough of the nerd stuff.
Can't get enough nerd stuff.
Yeah, so these guys were talking about Dune and Infinity War.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to talk about The Mandalorian.
We can. We are off schedule at this point in time.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen it. But I'll tell you what. I want to say this earlier. We were talking about a company sitting in a room coming up with a scheme to sell money. That is 100% what Baby Yoda is. It's I can just see them. Yes. I can just see them sitting in a room, just being like, you know what? How we can make a bunch of fucking money.
Oh.
So I'm sorry. You know how we can make a bunch of freaking money, selling merchandise? Let's make Baby Yoda, and people are gonna go freaking crazy over this.
Which, mind you, doesn't make any freaking sense. This thing is supposed to be 50 years old. I complain about this every time we discuss
just eat it up too.
So
50 years old and can't talk.
Last time I was on here, Mike had seen episode 4 and I hadn't, and you said, and I thank you and curse you and then thank you. It's a thank you sandwich with a curse because I could not see into that. I couldn't take my eyes off of the fact that it was a 3D model with nothing in it.
Yeah.
It destroyed me a little bit. And that episode really fractured my love of the show. And then episode 5 just obliterated it. They got to win me back all over again now. Now I'm I think I might have got duped.
Episode I feel like absolute trash, man.
I feel like the first 3 were reviewer copies. Hey, you know what, guys? Watch these first 3 and do your reviews. And everybody's gushing over because the first 3 are seem like a mini movie. They're their own, actually a movie with the length of it. But then it turns into Xena Princess Warrior in the next episode. And then it just continues with that level of today on Mandalorian.
No, man, it turned in episode 5. They turned it into freaking Cheers or something. Harley's there with the baby and.
Well, I didn't. You know what? That wasn't taking me out of it as much as that actor they got to be Tusk or Toro was a terrible actor.
There were no good actors in that episode.
He just didn't look like he belonged in Star Wars. He looked like they got him off a back, like he was some executive's kid. And they were like, "Hey,
the best thing, if not the only good thing about that, was that we got to visit Mos Eisley Cantina again."
Yeah.
What place is that? That's the place from I don't know Star Wars.
From the first Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't I told you, member berries really don't work on me, man. I got an immunity for nostalgia. All
right. You know what? Quinn has not partaken of, so let's
okay. I don't think he is. Like he's already got it in for Disney. Like the Mandalorian. This is the one guy in all of America that hates Baby Yoda. I know you didn't say that.
No, I'll say it. I don't like it.
I'm gonna get you canceled. I'm gonna get you canceled for a fiction character.
Somebody on Twitter the other day was like, there's this account on Twitter that I follow called Ice Spiders, and it's like a joke because in the Song of Ice and Fire books, they're supposed to be like ice spiders with the others. And so they were tweeting like, they tweet as though they're the ice spiders. So they basically said, we will find and eat and dismember Baby Yoda. I retweeted it onto my timeline. Yes.
That's so wrong. That's so wrong.
No, Music Man in the chat says Baby Yoda is ruining the show.
Dude, even
he's got better armor than Mando. Plot armor. Waka waka waka.
Yeah. the dude's holding Baby Yoda and falls on him.
That plot armor is really strong.
You have to sacrifice so much for a baby in a TV show. Like as far as like babies ruin shows. They really.
Now I will say he's an active baby. Like he's not like completely useless.
Hi, Baby Yoda.
Okay, he's a 50-year-old infant who can barely walk. Although for some reason can walk as fast as a 6-foot tall man.
Do they explain why he's 50 and can't? Is there like learning like really slow for the first 50 years of their life?
Well, see, I feel like they learn a lot. They just don't grow fast because he seems intelligent.
They're in diapers for the first 40 years of their life.
Like he seems like he's smart. Like he doesn't seem like a dumb kid. He seems like I know things. I just got this baby body. It's like look who's talking, Yoda edition, pretty much.
Except he's not talking.
Blast from the past.
He's 50 and he doesn't talk. Which, mind you, doing the math, if Yoda died at 900 years old and you do a 10-to-1, that makes that a 5-year-old retarded baby.
Oh man! Oh man!
You know any 5-year-olds that couldn't talk? My son's freaking developmentally disabled, and he could talk by the time he was like 4. So
yeah,
there it is. I mean, I get you. It looked like he said they calculated it. That Baby Groot did well. They're like, why not Baby Yoda? Why not a shaved gremlin? It worked.
That's right.
Because Baby Yoda is adorable.
He is Mogwai.
They know, yeah.
But there's something in the zeitgeist. At least it was 5 years ago, whenever they started producing these things. Because you have 2 major IPs out with gruff guys that are connected to babies. One is Death Stranding, the video game, with Norman Reedus. If you don't know him from Walking Dead, he was like the gruffest guy. Now it's a video game of him walking around with a literal baby strapped to his body.
It's Lone Wolf and Cub, and it works.
Right.
You know.
And then there's this. So it's like, okay, some CEO was like, hey man, men with babies are gonna be what's happening 2 to 3 years from now. Let's start making these now. And I don't got anything against either one of them. You know, I'm a father of 4. I don't have any babies anymore, thank God. You know, I got older kids that are 17, 18, 14. They're like roommates at this point. They become less children and more people you have to manage around your household. But so it's been a long time since I had like a baby, as Shrek would say. But I don't know. It was funny, Mike. I thought you would love Mandalorian because it's like guns are my religion. I'm like, that's Mike. I mean, religion's your religion, but also guns.
I liked the first. I actually liked the 4th episode. I didn't think it was. I mean, it wasn't as strong as the first 3. But boy, episode 5. I was watching it. I did a live show. So I was watching it here. I had it muted. I had headphones on, and then I was doing the skip thing so people could see where I was tracking on it. And I was like, so much of this is really stupid. You know, and I'll do it on episode 6, and maybe they'll have a better writer, and maybe that is Boba Fett at the end. That'd be fantastic.
No, pants are too dark. I don't think it's him.
He couldn't possibly change his pants.
He wouldn't. Not in the Star Wars universe. They don't change their dialect. Womp rats are universal, apparently. We had this discussion, so why would he change pants? I think it's his the guy that was running the Assassins, Carl Weathers' character. That's my call. Also want to make a prediction that this next 3 episodes are going to be great. I think they're saving their money for that. So let me ask you this, Quinn, real quick.
Yeah.
What shows are you watching so we can know what to talk about?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as TV shows right now, like not a lot. I'm like reading a lot of like graphic novels and just reading a lot really right now.
There it is.
Yeah.
What are you reading? What are you reading?
Just everything that I get my hand on. I read a lot of.
Give me something, man. Give me something.
I just finished reading.
It's like you're lying.
Last night I read a graphic novel called Sabrina, and I thought it was really
The
boring.
Teenage Witch?
Huh?
No.
I have read that. I've read The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, that graphic novel. But no, it was a graphic novel called Sabrina. It was by this guy, I can't think of his name, but it was about this girl gets murdered, and it was from the perspective of the people that like were her family members. And it's like she gets murdered, her murder leaks on the internet, and then it's like there's all these people talking about it, but the story is from the perspective of the people that she was like that were closer, like her boyfriend and her like sister. That's what it was about, but it was really boring, and I wasn't super into it. I started reading this comic called Middle West. It's about this boy that's like from the Middle West, and there's like this wind demon that follows him around. That one's really cool. There's one that I was reading called Witches with a Y, which is like this horror graphic novel about.
Wait. Is it W-Y or is it literally Witches with a Y? Is that?
It's Witches with a Y. It's W-Y.
I know, but
so that's
just called Witches.
The Y is the I.
So it's just witches.
Yeah, witches. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the name.
I was like, Witches with a Y would be like the whole title. Would be
that one's really messed up and gory. There was this really cool scene that I was reading last night where it's like she like moves back her hair and there's like an eyeball there. So that one was cool. But yeah, I read a lot of independent stuff. I don't know if you've heard of Wicked Plus to Divine. That one's really cool.
Dude, I was actually going to recommend that to you. I just ordered 3 graphic novels, got them in today. Big fan of that book.
Yeah, Wicked. I've read a lot of that one.
It was Wicked and Divine, I thought.
Wicked and Divine. Well, it's like.
Yeah, I get you though. I get you.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you've Saga. Saga's like.
Saga's great. That's also another graphic novel that seems to be made to be a TV show. Like I could see it being a TV show. Oh, Why the Last Man? Same writer.
Why the Last Man? That's Brian K. Vaughan. I have that one in there too.
He was involved with Under the Dome, and that was terrible.
Stephen King thing. Yeah.
Yeah, God. But Brian K. Vaughan wrote some of the episodes.
I was just.
I like Saga more than Last Man. I know a lot of people really, really like that. I haven't finished it, so I don't know exactly.
See, well, if you finish it, it's going to do a thing to you.
Okay.
It's got a thing that's going to thing you.
So have either of you guys watched Peaky Blinders? Because Mr. Hellstorm is bringing it up.
I have watched the first 2 seasons.
My friend's dad, every time I go over their house, he's always watching it. So I've had like major scenes like spoiled for me. Like I've seen like a main character get like killed with like a hat, and I was just like, what the heck? He just like I didn't know what was going on. I just like I don't know.
It's really
I've seen it, but I haven't seen it really.
Hey, I'm gonna do something very rude and step away for a minute. Can you two handle discussion?
I can. I'm pretty much a recluse, man.
I'm trying to think of some other stuff that I've read. Okay. Sandman. Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
I really like Neil Gaiman's Sandman, but I recently started getting into it, and so I read all the original ones.
I just had to say that before I left.
Yeah, really. Yeah, and then after I read the original, I guess 10 graphic novels, I went back and I read Overture, and then James Williams' art is just like that is like the best. I was looking because I went and I got like the big absolute volume of Sandman Overture, and that art is just like insane. And it just like I look at that book and I just feel like I'm falling into the dreaming world.
Yeah, you can't do like traditional art with Sandman. Like it doesn't work with that non-experimental art style. Looking at it now, I was flipping through it at a friend of mine's house. It is way ahead of its time. I mean, it's funny the stuff I didn't really jive to, as a teenager in the '90s. Look at it now, like none of the current art of its day lasted, but the stuff that was edgy, ahead of its time, still holds up. And it's like all the stuff I didn't like, I love it now. So it's weird how perspective and time changes your appreciation.
Yeah, that's one of the series that I'm going to start covering on my channel because I feel like Sandman.
Dude, I'm listening to that. You got at least one guy that's gonna tune in at 3 a.m. whenever you some random time of night.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like those books are they're so deep.
They are.
So deep.
They are.
He's talking about he's always like talking. Neil Gaiman does this thing where he's always talking in metaphors. He's always personifying like ideas. Like I love how in that series, like death is more than just like a concept or a thing that happens. Death is a person, and it's like the same thing about destiny. Destiny is a person, and delirium is a person, and despair is a person. And so like all these things are alive, and they all like take a form somewhere. And then like reading Overture, which is like Neil Gaiman like going back and writing a prequel, because you like read Sandman, it starts off and he's like, okay, the reason he was captured in that first one was because it's like he was tired and he was weak, and you never know like why he was so weak and where he was coming from. So Neil Gaiman went back and did Overture and had like J.H. Williams come in and do that art and like tell that story. And it was just like, I already knew Sandman was like amazing and deep just from reading that original, like just 10 volumes, but just like going back and seeing that, how he had an idea about it from the beginning, and just seeing him like tie it all together like that was just like,
that was probably one of, a lot of times you get that one monolithic idea and you basically been working on it for like 10 years in your head, you know what I'm saying? And so you got all this stuff built up. I tell my wife this all the time. She's a kind of aspiring writer herself, and I'm like, babe, you only got one story you got to tell. Like everybody that's ever made it anywhere is just telling the same story. They just put like a different skin on it, because I feel like I don't know what the creative guys are about, but they don't let you get like one thing that you're going to be really like you're going to be able to talk about in story form. Like Stephen King, for instance, right? He's got a billion books, but it's always like the autistic kid, the nun, the backslidden priest, and a devil dude, right? Like every book is the same mix of that thing. Like either one of those characters are going to be, the devil's the main character in this one. You know what? The autistic kid's the main character. The nun, the backslidden priest. It's, and I'm a fan, but like you start to see the like, okay, he's only got a few ingredients he's going to be able to work with, and then he's just going to basically iterate on that for his whole life. Yeah, which blows my mind.
Stephen King loves writing about himself. I recently. Like a few days ago, finished reading The Institute, which is one of his newer books, and I was just so disappointed by The Institute. Like it was like.
Now, did you not like the ending?
I didn't like the ending.
Okay.
I feel like I was enjoying the book as going along.
You fell in him. So Stephen King sucks at endings. Like he's always sucked at endings.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I jumped right to that. You didn't like the ending. Like he's great. He's got that J.J. Abrams. He can hook you in with a premise, but he can't He can't pull it off. Like, well, what if the devil and the God were the same people? Like, I'm reading this, and he's like, oh, it was all a dream. Like, come on, Stephen King.
Okay, so The Institute, not to spoil too much of it for anybody that didn't read it, but it's a bunch of ideas that Stephen King has done before. Your psychic children, they've got like
psychic powers,
psychic powers, and they go into the Institute. They're like running all these experiments on the kids and stuff like that. But then at the end of it, like those kids, they struggle so hard and to get out of this and to escape these effed up people. And then right at the end, Stephen King's just like, the guy pulls up and he's like, whatever, we're going to just start back doing it again. And we're still getting away with it. Maybe you got away. I'm like, what? That's it? It just ends like that? It's so unsatisfying. It was one of the most unsatisfying endings. Actually, I can't say because for some reason, I wasted my time reading Dan Brown's new book.
Which one?
Origin. It was like that was like a year and a half ago though, and that was like one of the most disappointing books that I had read, and like just I couldn't take it. But yeah, The Institute, it was almost as disappointing as that one. But,
no, is Dan Brown's new book in the Da Vinci Code universe?
Yeah, it's the same character, Robert Langdon.
I'm not gonna lie, man. That's guilty pleasures. I know they're dumb,
right? Yeah,
they're dumb, but I'm like, ooh, code, secret languages, secret societies, sign me up. And every time.
When I read The Lost Symbol in high school, I was like hooked. I was like, yes, I want to go to Washington, DC, and, like find like the symbols and all that stuff. But I just felt like Origin, it was Dan Brown like taking a go at like the science fiction genre, right? Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. I was like, the twist is going to be obvious. And I don't even care about spoiling it because it's obvious. I don't even care. Like in the beginning of the book, you learn that this this like big time Elon Musk type character. He had this like super computer AI type thing going on built. So in the beginning of the book, he gets assassinated. That's right at the beginning. He gets assassinated. But
wait. Let me guess. He put his mind in the AI.
Not exactly, but it's basically
Damn it.
The AI did it, basically.
I knew. Okay, yeah.
Like the book is like, who did it? Who did it? And it's like, you know, this damn computer did this.
It was robots with a W. Robots.
like Dan Brown, you're not clever. Like I saw it from the beginning.
Now, did you read Da Vinci Code?
Yeah, I read the Da Vinci
Code. I said, I know, guy, for the chat out there, I know it's trash. But dude, I love that book. I had my Bible out. I was looking at the Da Vinci pictures. It was like a damn interactive point and click adventure.
It's like I remember like looking up every time I'd be reading those books. I'd always like look up what he's talking about. Let me look up this painting.
Exactly. Like I haven't usually like. Yeah, it's like give me a Star Wars book like that where I gotta go like, oh wait a minute, okay, so the third button on Vader's chest is actually Illuminati. What?
You know, I remember like I got in trouble for this reading the Da Vinci Code. Yes, I did because I grew up with my religious ass grandparents, and it was like not having that shit. So I remember like
that's why I was laughing. I already knew why you got in trouble.
I remember reading it and just like. Being like, Grandma, like I look at this picture, it's like that's a woman, that's that's Mary Magdalene, and my grandma's like the hoe of the Bible,
the hoe of the Bible.
She's like, Jesus, what were you talking about? Jesus would mess with. I remember she got so mad at me, and I was just like, you gotta read. I know she would never read the Da Vinci Code, but it was just like so funny to me. I'm just like, God. But
yeah, I got my guilty pleasure genres. Secret societies is one of them. Government conspiracies. What's thing is I don't believe in any of that stuff in real life, but it's something about hearing people's machinations of how they think these conspiracies work. Like even real people, even people that actually.
I love conspiracies.
I love them because they're so crazy. Like you know, I come over there, like me and Mike get in a fist fight. And he leaves a triangle mark in my head or something, right? And then it's like this whole like, oh my God, and really, you know, Bilderberg. It's like, no, Mike just carved a triangle in my head. It don't mean nothing, but to these guys, like, oh my God, this is.
That's why those Dan Brown books were so attractive to me, like in like late school and high school, because in the beginning of it, he always opens it like these organizations are real. All the places I name are real. So like, okay, whatever, real, whatever. But like, as a younger person, I was like so just drawn in by that. Like, oh my God.
Dude, I was reading that book and I was like, this would make a terrible movie. And then it did.
And then it came out. Now they're on what number? They made 2 or 3 of them already.
So much money though, didn't it? The original Da Vinci Code movie.
Yeah, but it was
made some money. Tom Hanks. And then they did the Angels and Demons one, which is actually, if you read the books, that's the first one. Yeah. Angels and Demons is book 1. And then it's Da Vinci Code. But
I didn't know that. I read both of them. Didn't know that was the first book.
Angels and Demons bombed, and then the Da Vinci Code did really well. So they brought Angels and Demons back out, and everybody thought it was a sequel. Or something.
It's really, but the thing is, like his books, they're supposed to be in the same universe, but it's like they don't really like pay attention to anything that happened. So like I've read them all. I feel embarrassed saying it, but I have, even though they're like
guilty pleasure.
But it's like in Inferno, at the end of Inferno, wait, is it Inferno? Yeah, at the end of Inferno, like there's like this virus that gets released, and then it's like 2/3 of the population or something get like sterilized, and they'll always be sterilized genetically forever. It was like this mad scientist, that was his idea to like save whatever. But then in like Origin, it's like they don't even mention that. I feel like that would still be on the news.
I'm still shooting blanks from the last book.
So like, no one cares about this big giant thing that affected the entire planet in the last book. Like whatever, they didn't mention it.
I thought going through the Da Vinci Code, I thought, you know, the most interesting thing about this story is all the historical stuff he's
for sure.
Yes. Right. And it seemed like the plot was just sort of superficially there to give us some pretend history lesson.
Lord, what even is the plot of that?
I mean, they're doing
cipher.
Oh, the Da Vinci.
Yeah, they had to get the key, the MacGuffin, the literal MacGuffin. thing.
I remember after I read the Vinci Code, I bought a bunch of books on like the Knights of Templar and the Holy Grail. Like I started researching all that stuff. I got really invested and interested in it. But like, yeah.
Ooh, you should have something along because in the Divinity, is it called the Divinity?
Yes, the Divinity.
You should have like a Knights Templar type organization.
Well, I do have the Ash Makers, but they're like they're more like specifically the witch hunter type characters that the king appoints to have go in. Like they work for it's like the king pays for them, but they work for the church, kind of like that type deal. They're the Ash Makers. I guess they're kind of like the church knights almost.
Yeah.
Now, might want that hardcore knight. We about to come get your gold and set up shop up in your land, Knights Templars. Yeah. And you know what? It's funny, man. They really hasn't. When was the last definitive Knights Templar movie? I know they made a few recently.
They did a TV show, which honestly I didn't get past the first.
I feel like
you didn't get past the first one. I know it ain't good. Then
I think I watched the first one twice, and then because I just like I watched it, and then I didn't watch it, and then I was like, I should watch this again, and then I tried again, and then.
What I like about them is that there's such a complex group, and the mythology is so muddied now. Either they're the complete bad guys, or they're the all good guys, and so they're like this interesting. Like if you take the Empire versus the Knights Templar, which is what I feel like the Empire should have been, or should have evolved into, where we're like, I don't know, those rebels are kind of shady, but now they're so obviously bad. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Knights Templar are like, well, they just fighting for their way of life, and against these other people fighting for their way of life.
I'm not really caught up on the history at this point, but there's a lot going on. It was like, so there's like some mystery. I forget how much of it is like the conspiracy, like mythology of it, and how much of it was actually real. But from what I remember, it was like, so like they came back to like Europe or whatever, and then it was like the church just gave them all this power. And they were just like, yeah, whatever, Knights of Templar. And like, we don't really like know why exactly historically. And so the myth formed that it was like the reason they gave them the power because they knew they had the Holy Grail or whatever. That's the myth or whatever. So then after a while, the church like wised up and they were like, like F these guys, we're just going to kill all of them. So on like Friday the 13th and like 13, whatever, they like did that thing and like murdered them. And
Order 66 for you Star Wars fans.
There you go.
Yeah, so like that's basically the story. So I feel like a cool movie could be made out of that, but I feel like you'd have to embellish a lot.
Well, I think if you just look at it from a more pragmatic point of view, it's basically you have a power. Like if you just can divorce like religion and the church, I know what, but like it was a power structure, and they had these guys that were destabilizing other parts of the world, and that was to their power structure's benefit. But then they got all that gold, dude. They got like rich. Like the Templars had their own personal military. It was like nuts how much power they got. And then of course, the other power base is gonna be like, yeah, you know what though? Nah, because the Templars also had a different philosophy that actually still persists today. I read a book by Barbara English called Blood Rights, and it talked about the fusion of warriorhood combined with priesthood. English.
Oh, I thought
Barbara English. So she talked about how the warrior culture and the priest culture combined together sometime throughout man's history. So the warrior priest became two desperate ideas that became one idea. Like we can't even uncouple it now. Like, yeah, warrior priest sounds right. Like I'm all about saving lives and peace and also killing the hell out of you. I have a righteous indignation to do bodily harm to anybody that doesn't basically believe our beliefs. Was not something that always existed in mankind, but that meme, those two memes grew together, and the Templars exemplify that perfectly. The warrior priest, where like they equally believed in both, even though there was a dichotomy there. It's fascinating.
I think it's a good, like you were saying, it would make for good movies and story, but you should just do what Martin does and just mine reality into your own fantasy,
Yeah,
for sure.
Militant. But they're not really like warriors. They're just like peasants with like sticks and axes.
Yeah. I forgot who he modeled. Was he modeling them after the Catholic Church? I thought he modeled the.
The Faith of the Seven. Yeah,
the Seven of the Catholic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but the Faith Militant was like the faiths. They at some point in history they had this arm of like soldiers, and then like Cersei like reinstated them like later on, and they like.
See, I always thought of them as the Lutherans, like the Martin Luther branch that was like, we're gonna believe this shit for real, like
the Faith Militant.
Yeah. But I mean,
George was raised Catholic, so that's probably where he mined all that stuff from.
There is kind of a distinction. So George Martin is always very complicated with everything. So the Faith of the Seven is basically Catholicism, but at some point in the books, you have this character, the Sparrow, comes in, and he's basically like, you know what, all this Catholicism. Well, I'm just gonna say he's basically like, I'm more about like all this nonsense y'all talking about with like the fancy headdresses and all this fancy stuff. No, it's about being stripped down, pious, fast.
That's Martin Luther. That's what I'm saying. That's real life. Martin Luther did that to the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's when they came about. That's when the Sparrows came about. But then a little bit after that, he made a deal with Cersei, and he was like, "Let me give them weapons," and that's when when they were able to like pick up weapons again and be their own like army thing, and they kind of like screwed Cersei over and made her walk naked through the streets.
It's kind of what Mike was saying, where you kind of mine a little bit of this, a little bit of that from actual historical stuff, because obviously it's not a 1-to-1. Like Martin Luther did all that stuff. Right. He made a queen walk around naked. He did not do that, but yeah, definitely. Now, what I like about reading The Wheel of Time, let's get back on that for a second, versus reading Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones feels like a way more refined Wheel of Time. Like he's doing all the same stuff. Like I would almost accuse him of plagiarism if he didn't innovate all the tropes. So it's almost like a deconstruction of the hero's journey.
Well, I don't know. George was coming at Game of Thrones, I think, more out of his work in Hollywood, so he knew how to tell a more concise, better story.
For sure.
I tried to read Wheel of Time, and I felt like I'm walking through molasses, man.
Yeah.
Such a slog. I couldn't do it.
Especially with how earnest the characters are in the beginning. They're just very like, but then they evolve into like this 50 Shades of Grey type stuff. You're like, man, what is going on in this book?
The thing is, I feel like in the beginning of it, everything is too vague. Like everything that's going on is just too freaking vague. Like you have the characters Randall, Thor, Matt, Perrin, and Quain. But then you have like the Aes Sedai in Moraine or whatever. They know something, but then you've got like the Dark Lord rising, and it's like, what exactly is he even trying to do? And it's like, we're going to the eye of the world. Where are we even going? Why are we even here? What are we doing here? It's like it's like I felt like reading that, especially early on, you don't necessarily get a sense of like where it's going or what is even necessarily going on. You just know that we're trying to get from this place to this place. They're always walking from some place to another.
And the vagueness comes from Tolkien. Like, I mean, what was Sauron's power set was so vague. Like, we're nerds, right? We want to RPG this stuff and be like, okay, what's his upper limit? What's his lower limit? Like, what can he do? What can he do? He's evil. That's his power. Like, he made a ring to control them all, but what's that? Huh? But then
rule them all.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I just rewatched Lord of the Rings, and it's amazing how well that movie holds up. Like amazing. It's a miracle that movie is just as enjoyable today. I actually enjoyed it more because I'm older. Mm-hmm. So I've traveled a little bit down the road, whereas I'm not 20 anymore. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's what, I get that now. Sometimes you just gotta be the old man that walks away, and you don't get to come back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And so. I definitely will endorse Lord of the Rings now more than ever. Like if people still want to know what good fantasy.
I was like that with Empire Strikes Back. When I was a kid, I did not like that movie. It's just it's too mature, I think. I wanted more Star Wars, right?
Right.
It was like, this is depressing.
It is. It
really ends on a downer. I just did not.
It does. It does.
I'm like, wow,
that's the thing. Okay, Lord of the Rings. It's like this guy lives in Mordor. I feel like if I was a Dark Lord, right? I wouldn't want to live in like a volcano with like smoky ash and darkness all the time. I feel like my castle would be like really nice and like glowing and pretty. I'd still be evil as crap, right? I'd be evil, but I wouldn't I don't want like everything around me to like look crappy and dark all the time. I don't know.
But you live right next to a crazy resource that you can build your war machine out of. Like, I get it.
I don't gotta live there. I guess I don't know.
It's so what muddies the water with
smell of sulfur.
There you go. That's gotta stink. What muddies the water with Tolkien is he says I don't do allegory, but it's like that's BS, man. Like there's a lot of allegory in your story. So I think that mythology of him nothing means nothing else. Like, yeah, it kind of does though. Like, because otherwise, if you're saying this is like literal, then we're in trouble. Because why did they just use the eagles to drop the dang rings in there, and we could have been done with this non-allegorical story? I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh my God, Gandalf. That's the eagle thing is just like the biggest plot hole in like fantasy history.
But you know what? I graded that on a curve because that was back then. He pretty much wrote a god into a story. Like Gandalf was Dr. Manhattan, and basically he could do anything he wanted to do.
Wasn't Gandalf supposed to essentially be an angel?
Yes. And there's another YouTuber, I can't think of his name right now. He does a lot of the lore on the Silmarillion and just other stuff that kind of flavors Lord of the Rings. And it's pretty good stuff. I'm surprised they haven't made a TV show out of Lord of the Rings back. I guess they are doing the Amazon show. So yeah,
let's see how that does. I feel. I know they got the money for it, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like people have this idea that just because something has a name and that it's been popular in the past, that people are just going to automatically like love everything that comes out.
I feel like soon. I mean, it used to be you'd do remakes like 50 years later. Now it's like, oh, we haven't done a remake of this in at least a year.
10 years. It's every decade now.
I feel like Lord of the Rings, it's like, and I know it's been shorter than 10 years. When did The Hobbit come out? Because I feel like that was their attempt at going back and being like, let's bring back the whole Lord of the Rings.
I feel like that was like right at 10 years. Let me use my computer machine.
Yeah, probably was because I was around. I don't know.
Let's see. I guess we'll say Return of the King.
Because Lord of the Rings, Return of the King was 2003, and then I don't know when The Hobbit.
Hey, did you just put it out of your head real quick?
Yeah.
That is too soon, man. That is too soon.
Because I remember when that came. I remember that time in my life. 2003. Because they came out back to back. It was like 1, 2, 3. Because they filmed them at the same time, and they were just like,
yeah.
Let's see, the Hobbit movie.
Imagine if they had filmed Game of Thrones like all at the same time and then just released it later, so that like Bran didn't end up being 6'5".
I wonder how that couldn't have worked like practically. It did too much to film. That would have been like some expensive shit, honestly.
Yeah, but that was
to me, man. They totally neutered the Game of Thrones characters, man. Like Bran went nowhere. He wasn't warging. Jon Snow became this one note goody two shoes. It's just
for a Golden Globe. If anything, give Daenerys Emilia Clarke the Golden Globe. Like Jon Snow didn't do anything in that last season.
It was funny. You actually cut me off right before I was gonna say. I didn't like Daenerys in the book. I don't like the character.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not saying anything about the writing. They wrote it perfectly. She was the only one that was just like the book. Mm-hmm. Like it was a 1-to-1. Like, yep, that's why I didn't like her in the book.
Like that. I feel like that the show stripped a lot of the humanness out of the character. And I even read something where they specifically were like, they told her to be less human. They told her to be like kind of more like stoic and kind of like aloof. Yeah, I mean kind of like that. Because I feel like I read those books and I look at the character Daenerys and I see a character that still actually does have like an innocent side. It's like she is very, I think even up until Dance with Dragons, that character is very naive. And she has a world that I'm just like, sweetie, that is not the way things work. You think she thinks that she can like go into the East and change all this stuff and it's just gonna be like great. She's like, I'm doing, because she thinks that like, okay, because I think that I'm doing a good thing and because it's coming from a good place, that I can impose my morality upon like everybody.
And you know what? A lot of people feel that way. He's like that's a very common.
She's like every socialist college student.
I mean, that's where she goes wrong. And I always point to that scene in the book where it's like there's she like frees slaves, right? But the thing is, it's like a lot of these slaves now that have been freed have worse lives now that they are free. So there's like this scene where this older guy is coming to her and he's like, hey, can I go back and stay with the slave family? Because like I know you like put up these like houses where people can go and get fed, but it's like in these places, like the young prey on the old and they take my food. And I'm like, I have a horrible life. So she's like, I guess I got to go let this guy sell himself back into slavery. Well, basically what she does to that guy, she makes him like write a thing where it's like, okay, you have to come back and sign this again if you want to still be a slave after a year.
I wanna buttress that point for anybody who goes, see, slavery was good. Slavery's not good.
No.
But basically Daenerys, like a lot of young people, don't think about after. They want to do a heroic deed, blow up the Death Star, and then nobody wants to think about what happens next.
Right.
So in real life, when they ended slavery in America anyway, they already had machines that basically replaced the slaves. Like they lost money, but it didn't like collapse the whole infrastructure. And there was other means to make money back then.
Slaves still worked too for like
right, and a lot of slaves still stayed on and like, you know what, give me my 40 acres and a mule. I'll keep doing the thing that we've been doing. And so it's more complicated and did a good thing, freed the slaves. And I feel like Daenerys was set up, this is another point, was set up to be evil in the books. Only because either George R. R. Martin's right to marry Sue, or he's got a trick up his sleeve where he's going to give you that traditional anime manga girl character that's going to, the plot twist I always knew was going to be she was going to go nuts and kill everybody because once again, she's too naive to do things the right way like a Tywin Lannister. By right, I mean pragmatic and smart. Not that's once again, I don't want to endorse what Tywin Lannister was doing, but that was my guy. My wife's back there laughing at me because I just endorsed pretty much, Hitler. But look, listen, Tywin Lannister was the guy when it came to strategy. Like thinking back TV show wise, like why did I would have left him alive. If you're going to change things, like I would have not killed Tywin Lannister because the show, Game of Thrones show, the TV show lost all of its steam for King's Landing.
I get it, but he had to die. Not because I didn't like the character. I feel like it was just like George R. Martin knows what he's doing. Like thematically, that was when he had to.
No, just TV show.
I mean, I get it because like,
in the books, Tywin or Tyrion is awesome. But like, if Tyrion would have became the new Tywin, then I would have been like, oh yeah, slow clap. But he became dumb with a B. He just was a dumb dude. Yeah. Like there was literally no smart people left except for wine sipping Cersei, and she basically got to do one thing. I got a cup here. I can do this.
Yeah, I'm still bitter about the Cersei thing. I thought she had a plan. I thought she was gonna do something. Like I
do have a plan. I'm gonna give them face.
Yeah, exactly. Like what was the first? I think it was the first episode where it's like she's watching Euron's ships come. She's like looking all confident, and then Qyburn creeps up and he's all like, he's like my queen. The dead have broken through the wall. He's all nervous and shit. She's all like, good. She walks away smiling. I'm like, oh my god, she's got something up her sleeve, and then she just cries.
No, I'm just gonna stand here and take it. I'm just gonna let bricks kill me.
I thought, I really, really, really thought that she was gonna be like, okay, Daenerys, I succumb. Like you can come in the castle, and then she was just gonna be like, you know what? I don't care about you or me. I'm just gonna set it all on fire. And she was just gonna like unleash the wildfire in the Red Keep and like try and kill Daenerys and her and everybody. I thought that's what she was gonna do because I felt like that would have been more like if like she realized she couldn't win, then it would have been to a point where like, you know what, burn everybody. Because people forget about this. This isn't happening in the book, but it happened in the show. In season 2, when Stannis is about to sack the city, she is about to kill Tommen. She is about to poison Tommen. Poison herself. So I totally see that like she could have been pushed to the point where it's like, I've already got wildfire. What am I gonna do? Let her take everything from me? Let the prophecy come true and have the younger, more beautiful queen cast me down? No, I'm Cersei Lannister. I'm gonna take her out with me. That's what I feel.
She didn't have anything else to lose.
But she didn't do anything. She's cried.
So here's my rewrite. Season 6? What does Daenerys come over? What does Daenerys come over in season 6? From
7, it's 7, I think.
Whatever season she comes over, she takes over King's Landing. You do some kind of what the loot train could be the battle, whatever. But I would have had it to where the fans want her to kill Cersei outright, but in mine, she locks Cersei in the Red Keep. And she's basically like kind of using her as a kind of concierge, like, I really don't know how to do this King's Landing shit. right? Like nobody even knows she's alive. Like all of her allies thinks that Cersei's dead and gone. She's actually keeping her and using her for information. This is how Cersei basically is able to kind of wormwood her way back into power, because she's literally feeding the queen information. Because we know Daenerys is dumb as hell, right? Like she doesn't know how to run. Like the across the sea, that was like easy mode. Like King's Landing, everybody was treacherous, and she would have needed some help. But we never got to see her being the queen of King's Landing with all the machinations going on. It was like in
the books, isn't Dorne more? Oh my gosh, hold on a second.
Isn't Dorne what?
It's gone. Never mind. In the books, isn't Dorne more susceptible to like siding with the Targaryens?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, in the book, they have a Targaryen.
And they also really like female leaders.
Yeah.
Because in the book, they're all like, no, we're going to try and make Marcella queen. I feel like that's why it's so opposite in the show, where it's like, we just want to kill her. In the book, it's like, we want to make her queen. It's like literally.
Oh, they neutered the Dorne plot. The Dorne plot
for me, that
was completely destroyed.
That still hurts almost more than anything. Like that, because I remember like watching Doran Martell get stabbed in the chest and just being like, it just all crumbled before my eyes. I don't know.
Yeah, they ruined the Dorne plot. Imagine evil Tyrion, which is Mike, you caught up on the books, right?
Yep.
So Tyrion is not a good dude right now. Like he is not this. I just served the queen, and the queen. That dude is like, hey, I'm trying to get young Griffin, and we about to run this when we get in power. Like,
they were afraid to go there with a character that people like. And when I picked up on it after that season where he killed his dad, right? I picked up on it because there's this scene in the book where there's this like young sex worker, she's like crying and stuff, and he's still like totally just does not care. They have the same scene in the show, but he's like, no, I can't do this. So they're trying to make it like, oh, Tyrion would never do that. But I'm just like, you're just trying to make it be like they're trying to save him because they feel like their audience is.
Well, he's a fan favorite. He was the Norman Reedus of this show, as Norman Reedus was The Walking Dead. Plus, for you non-book readers, read the books first of all. The books are like 10 times better than the show, even if you love the show. And two, when Tyrion kills his dad, that's a turning point. Like that dude is not the same dude. He doesn't mellow out after that. Like he killed his father, man, the most powerful man in all of King's Landing.
Which turned his brother.
The woman that he loved too.
Shay.
Yep.
Ooh.
Let's talk about the differences between Shay book to show. I feel I hate her in both, honestly.
They want you to hate her.
But I feel like in the show they might not have. Like I feel like in the show they did the turn and they had to. Okay, so if you remember in the show, they built it up where she actually did have feelings for him, but then they had to make him hurt her. They had to make him like send her away suddenly, and then that's when she turned. But I feel like in the book, it's like it's way sadder because it's like it's obvious that she. That's
because they couple it with the thing that his dad did with his young bride. And once again, for you non-book readers, that's like a thing for Tyrion. Like
that's a big thing.
That is such a big thing. They just gloss over that in the TV show. Like, oh yeah, his dad made his wife get raped and gave this false narrative and just roll with it. And that's really why he killed the guy. Like that was why he killed him. Also, non-book readers, him and Jamie ain't like this no more. They are not cool in the books because Jamie was in on all that.
Tyrion hates all of them. He
hates all of them.
He constantly thinks like, I hate my sister. I hate my brother. He doesn't. He's and then there's even a point where he's like, F House Lannister, I'm just gonna sign away all their money. And I wonder if that's gonna come back up too. I'm still waiting because like I know they did this thing in the show where they were like, oh, like the mines are empty or whatever in the show, but I don't know if that's true in like the Lannister gold mines or whatever. It was supposedly empty in the show. But, like no, in the book he did just sign all the stuff and like. I can't see the Golden Company guy bringing this to Cersei and her just being like, well, just you this means something.
That seems like another plot device to me.
Why they bothered with the Golden Company in the show?
I don't know.
What a waste.
I don't know why the final battle wasn't in King's Landing like that. The White Walkers are coming to King's Landing, and like you gotta. I know it's cliche, but you gotta do a Lord of the Rings. look, every nation has to band together. All the 7 kingdoms, whatever that's left, we had to band together to fight the White Walkers. Not like it was just like bad weather. We had a storm come in. We braved the storm. Now we're gonna go fight y'all.
Like,
we respawned. We respawned 50% of our losses somehow. Like those armies were massive. And I'm like, I know I just seen them get wiped out. I seen it. Like you showed me people getting overtaken by waves of dead people, and then they were right back in the next episode.
Terry, have you seen the Mauler breakdown?
Yes. Yes.
It's so freaking. Have you seen it? Quinn?
No, but it's just like all of this.
I OD'd on that.
Like I was like, there were so many times that it was like 400 White Walkers like rushing like Jamie and Brienne, and then you look back and they're just like, oh, they're still there.
Oh,
they're still there. And it's just like, oh, I hate this part. There's a part where it's like Jon Snow almost gets the Night King, but then the Night King like wakes up all the White Walkers and they all surround him. And then it's like it cuts back, and then they're like, oh God. I'm like, how the heck did he get out of that? It's like you have to show us how they're escaping from like these impossible predicaments. Oh, did he?
Yeah. Well,
I literally just hit like my sausage fingers. I was trying to look at the chat and hit the wrong button. So
we were talking about how like it's like that long night thing was just like so many characters should have died.
The long night was
so many shots where like people should have just been like totally ripped apart, instantly dead. From like how they had portrayed White Walkers in like previous seasons, and in previous people would fall and just get immediately just like ripped.
All right, Quinn, I set you up for success here. I want to do 2 things real quick. I want you to elaborate on something for me real quick, but I want to back up and say the first thing. So this is like a mini dream come true. Like I was so jealous you were talking to Mike about Game of Thrones, and Mike didn't talk to me. So to have you and Mike together, like this is a double rainbow all the way. Well, that's 1. 2, inform these viewers, because guys, just if you don't know, this guy is the guy for Game of Thrones lore. Like he knows everything. Me and Mike are just pretending to know stuff. We don't know nothing, right? We just like yeah. This guy knows everything. We're cheating off his test if we're in Game of Thrones school. Tell them how different the White Walkers were in the books versus the TV show.
I mean, like, just completely different. Like, George R. R. Martin describes them as, like, kind of, like, inhuman and elegant and, like, silent and just deadly. And you see, I mean, I get that you can like the aesthetic of the White Walkers in the show, but in the show, to me, they've always just looked like old men. They look like old, dried-up men, as opposed to in the book where I think of them as, like, almost like spirits, something that's not even entirely corporeal. Like something that's like just like you see that and you're like, that is not a man, that is not human, that is something that is I can't like comprehend what that is almost.
It looks like crystals almost.
Yeah, he talks about in the book how they have this armor that's like made of ice that like it camouflages with like just like the air and the tree. You just can't, they're almost invisible because of like how it shifts the light, and like because they can work ice in ways that humans can't even imagine or think of. That's why I think like in the book there might be some like tomfoolery with the wall, because it's like these are like literally like ice beings. How does an ice wall keep them out? So maybe there's something going on there. But yeah, like they're totally different. I mean, and then just the way the threat of the undead is presented in the book is so different. I mean, they kind of captured it in the beginning of the show, how like how like this is like crazy, we're not going to survive this almost. But then I feel like as the show went on, it was like it became easier and easier to take out like the White Walker, like a single like White Walker. You just like stab them and they're gone. But like in the book, there's that scene at the Fist of the First Men where the Night's Watch encounters them for the first time, and they're almost entirely wiped out. It's like they barely survive. It's like 20 of them that like walk back to the wall, and it's like we never even expect. They send hundreds of men beyond the wall, and they all pretty much die. So it's like that threat is like so immense and so great, and I feel like
it's more eldritch too. It's more of an eldritch. You just can't describe it. You don't know what it is. You know it's something.
And there's also no Night King either.
There is, but there isn't. I know there is no Night King Darth Vader character.
Yeah.
But there was a Night King. It's just so confusing.
Yeah.
That was rumored to have been a Stark.
Yeah.
I think.
Way back in the beginning.
He wasn't necessarily like the leader of the others. So in the show, they did this thing and it was super sneaky, right? Where like randomly in season 6, all of a sudden, season 6 or 7, they mentioned the Night King for the first time. And there's like, oh, this is a character now, and everyone knows about this. Like all the characters suddenly know about that name. I'm like, wait, how the heck do they know this name? I've never heard this name in the show be uttered once. And suddenly it's like, oh yeah, we got to stop the Night King. Like it's like some lore that's been present that everyone talks about constantly, and everyone is aware of the lore of the Night King, which is like, I feel like if the books George R. Martin was going to reveal the Night King, it would have been something like, oh, this is something that's forgotten. We don't remember this, right? We don't remember.
Old man would have had to have known about it. Though.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she would have known, but I feel like in the show, it's all of a sudden like everyone knows about this legend.
Just so you guys who don't know, like it's heavily implied that either Jon Snow could become the next Azor. Am I messing this up?
Azor,
the Lord of Light, the Lord of Light, or the Night King. Like, because once again, they keep saying the Night King is a Stark, and the guy that started this, the leader, and blah blah blah, and not the same Night King as in the King Zombie, but the ruler of the Frozen North was the Stark, is what the rumors were.
This is the deal with that. So, like, according to the legend, right, the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch was a Stark. That's supposedly, right?
Right.
So, like, he was on top of the wall one night and, like, looking over the wall, and he saw, like, this beautiful woman walking out of the forest. And he goes down, and he just is immediately infatuated by her, and he kisses her, and he makes love with her, and her skin is cold as ice, and her eyes burn like blue stars. And he's like, I'm gonna take you, and you will be my wife. You will be my Night Queen, and I will be your Night King. And so, like, legend says that they made queer sacrifices to strange gods, and it got so crazy. He declared himself the king of the Night's Watch, which is like, no, there's no king of the Night's Watch. You can't do that. And so it got really crazy. They were sacrificing, and apparently word got not only to the king in the north, the king of winter, the Stark King, but word also got to the Wildling King, Joramun. And so these two dudes, Wildlings and Starks, banded together to take out this guy, the Night King. And so, where I think that, like, potentially the deal is with the whole prince that was promised is, I think this is my own personal theory. You can go and like look at this video on my channel years ago. I think this is what's the deal. I think there was a deal where they were like giving babies to the White Walkers, and I think there was a baby that didn't get given because you got the King of Winter, who was a Stark. This baby would have been a Stark, right? It would have been half Stark and half whatever she was. You got the King of Winter coming up here, even though he's going to take out the Night King, obviously, take out the Night Queen. This is just a baby. He's going to look at this baby and be like, this is my blood. Can I really be justified in killing this baby? I don't know what it is. I don't know that it could be some eldritch demon. So this is the child that this Stark King took back down to Winterfell and kept secret. This is the prince that was promised. This is what the others are potentially could be coming back for.
Let's see what you're saying.
They all cite a child, a prince that was promised. Prince that was promised to who? If that guy, the Night King, made a pact with the others that I will give you my sons, I will give you princes, literally, because I am the king. Prince that was promised. That's what they're seeking. And I think that child, that bloodline, that's the Stark blood, man. That's that. Yeah. I feel like all of them.
You're like a human in Wikipedia, because I'm like, I'm just gonna type in some keywords to little bit I do know, and Quinn's gonna knock it out of the park. That's exactly what I wanted them to hear. Like, I know some of you who are listening, your heart is racing. You're like, what? Yes, that's in the books, the TV show. So, please help me dispel this. Oh, George R. Martin, if he would have just got the books done, then no, they cut out too much. They cut out too much.
They wouldn't have done it, man. I'm telling you, they cut out anything, like especially that with they would have cut it out. They cut out Lady Stoneheart. I mean, come on.
Oh,
I mean,
you know what?
Interested in telling this story, man. They just weren't interested. They were interested in doing their own little riff on it. That was less fantasy.
And you got to remember too, as far as zombies go, Walking Dead was surging in popularity at the time. So once again, that think tank, like, hey, we got zombies. Let's use them now. And so, you know, and once again, the first 3 seasons were pretty good TV, but I think once again, I was kind of in a small group of people that was like, them characters don't look right. Like Cersei didn't look like Cersei to me, and Jamie wasn't quite Jamie enough for me. And
no, I just the first season was terrible, except for
I know people grew to love them and they love their TV counterparts.
Everyone's younger for one in the book. As far as like the adult, well, everyone is. Like,
yeah, I understood having to age up Danny for the sake of the thing, and then aged up the entire timeline.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was necessary. I don't know. Maybe it was for continuity's sake, but
for the stuff they took out, they added in that Ramsey storyline. Now I've heard conflicting that it's added on or it's in a book that's coming out. Like pretty much Littlefinger's getting ready to do what he did in season 5, I think, with Sansa, where he sells her off.
That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make because Ramsey.
I hope not, because I hated it.
Ramsey's already married to fake Arya.
Yeah, right. I know, but still, you know, like I said, I heard conflicting news that the book is gonna have Littlefinger do the. I was like, please don't, because she's kind of awesome now. Sansa's awesome in the books.
I can't wait to friggin' just.
I think Stannis is taking him out as far as Ramsey. I think Stannis is gonna get him.
Yeah,
I need to do a refresh. I remember the first books way better than I remember the last couple.
I mean, because what happened in Game of Thrones is they gave Jon Snow Stannis' battle, the Battle of Winterfell. It's not Jon Snow's battle. Stannis is going to take Winterfell. He's completely he's 100% set up to go attack Winterfell right now in the book. But
they actually cut out the stone dragons too. You just reminded me.
Yeah, but in the show, they're just like, we're going to do the Battle of Bastards because it's catchy. I mean, that's a cool looking episode.
It is. It is.
Cool. There's a lot of stupid shit. There's a lot of stupid.
So is Hardhome. Hardhome was also the 2 added things. They're awesome, but you know, as they say in New York, they're fugazis.
I like Hardhome a lot more as far as like it's like less stupid BS as far as like because like in the Battle of the Bastards, it's like Jon Snow. Like I feel like Jon Snow's not that stupid, right? To like charge.
Oh yeah, he is. Oh, yeah, he is.
It doesn't make sense.
Like, you know what?
They make him pretty stupid.
Because he's got plot armor too. Yeah. It's good armor. It's good. But speaking of plot armor, I don't have it on my phone, which is at 15%. So I gotta get off of here. This is probably a good time to wrap it up. Anyway, so y'all can live your lives. Before you leave, Quinn, do you got a family or anything like that? I know about Mike. You know, I don't know if you're just one guy.
What you mean?
You just single solo in your room cranking out lore all day?
Yep.
We're living a damn dream, my friend. A dream.
100%.
Mike, how many kids you got?
5.
I got 4. Like between me and him, we're gonna team up together and come storm your house and start your stuff. We'll have an army of 11 people if the 2 dad bods decide to join in the battle. You'll be done. So no, I'm joking. That's a very.
I can't even handle my nephews, and like I can't. You know.
Once again, man, I'm gonna get off of here. But hey, thank you, Mike. This is Christmas for me, being able to pick this guy's brain, and you think I'm joking, but I really wanted this, and Mike made it happen. He pulled some strings. It's like, you know.
No, I seriously messaged Quinn like 10 minutes before or something like that. I'm like, you busy?
Yeah. I was literally just like laying around. I was like, today was just my lazy day.
Right. Well, I know you said you only had 40 minutes and you gave us an hour, so thank you for hanging out with us, dude. I love having you on. You are a font of information. I wish I had gotten more words in, but Terry likes to talk.
This is build up. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be Warshak next time you see me. Just
no, you're not. You are capable, Terry. That's why, dude. I love having Terry on because he He gives my voice a rest.
There you go. That's how you can spin that. He gives my voice a rest. It's cold. He won't shut up.
No, it is. We hang out all the time. It's just I just sit back and I listen to Terry talk. And,
yeah.
Terry,
no, it's been really fun
get a YouTube channel up, dude. You'd be.
I know. You're not the first one to say that. I got to do something.
Yeah. And then we'll all cross our own. Anyways, everybody. Quinn, Ideas of Ice and Fire. Please do follow him. Terry. Terry Huddleston Art.com.
Yep,
and
that's me.
Just Google him. He's on different social media. Thank you both for being on here. Thanks everybody for hanging out for an After Nerds episode. And just thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
See you around.
Program. And there's some lovely filth down here.